Breaking Bad Habits is the second bonus download available, and this is a protocol that I created for all different clients, and it doesn't have to relate to your phobia. It's a bonus. It's just something as an added extra. So quite often, being a hypnotherapist, particularly a high-profile hypnotherapist, people come to me and they say, right, I want to give up smoking. I want to give up eating so much snacks or sugar or whatever it might be. One of my brands, for example, is Addiction Experts. And within Addiction Experts, of course, I break high-level addictions. Now, I would categorize a habit as a lower form of an addiction. So if you have a severe addiction, this won't be sufficient to break that. But if you just have a recurring habit that you don't want anymore, then this protocol is very useful to break that pattern. And it's really a short, about half an hour or so, system where you get to see the consequences. Because the thing with habits is that in the short term, they don't really have any impact. If you're a chocoholic, for example, and you have too much chocolate on one day, it makes no difference to your health. It makes no difference to your waistline. One day of eating too much chocolate does absolutely no harm whatsoever. Okay, but that's the problem, because that form of rationalization means that the person that likes chocolate will emotionally associate into the pleasure of eating that chocolate, and chocolate is one of those things that also fires off neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. So it feels good to kind of have that. It's anchored in the same way that many other things are. The taste, the smell, the packet will be associated with these feel-good things. So an individual with a habit like that will associate into the good things and disassociate into the things that can only happen over a long period of time. So eating chocolate too much on one day does nothing, really. Eating it every single day in medium quantities or even large quantities can have a very detrimental impact on health, well-being. It can lead to obesity. It can lead to potential type 2 diabetes. So the consequences over a long term are severe. Same thing with smoking. If someone was to smoke once on one particular day, nothing happens. But a lifetime of smoking could mean that they are at risk of lots of different diseases and could die, anything between 5 to 20 years earlier than someone that doesn't smoke. So this protocol is essentially about distorting time so the individual feels the long-term consequences. They associate into the long-term consequences and disassociate into the short-term pleasure. Because what I label short-term pleasure is the phrase gratification. Now, gratification, it's fleeting. You experience it and it's gone. But that can be part of the problem with habits and addictions, because then people have to revisit that thing to get that same kind of experience or pleasure. But then we need to replace it with something else. So what many people try and do with a bad habit or a habit they don't want anymore is go cold turkey. They simply stop that thing. What they don't realize, though, is that whatever that habit is meeting a particular need that they have. And simply stopping just means that your unconscious mind will find a different way to meet that need. So that's why many people, if they give up smoking, they end up eating more. So what you don't want to do is to leave it to chance that if you simply stop a particular habit, that nothing will fill that void. That's unlikely. So rather, it's not just breaking the bad habit, but replacing it with something more desirable that meets the very need that you had from the original thing, but just can deliver it in a different way. So for example, let's say if someone's habit is that they spend 2-3 hours a day on social media, the need that is being met there is potential connection with other humans. Okay, so that's a need that they might have, and it might be this kind of need to share or observe what's happening in other people's lives that they like or admire. Okay, that might be the need. But there are lots of other ways that you can meet that need without spending so much time on social media. So if we can meet that need in a different way, then that's what means that the change can last. If that person just simply stops going on social media, then they're relying on luck or chance that they will replace it with maybe conversations with real people. And that's not necessarily the case. They might just become addicted to reality TV or soap operas, for example, that might meet a similar need. So simply going cold turkey doesn't really work with these kind of things. What's way more effective is to deliberately replace it with something that meets the need, and your unconscious mind will know what that thing is. So this is an audio download as part of the bonus. Normally, when I go through this protocol face to face with people, one session with me is about £200. So you're getting that level of value in an audio download as a bonus for this system. And the final bonus is hypnotic wealth. So as a public speaker, quite often I will do normally about 2 or 3 events a year where people that are interested in using hypnosis to increase their financial wealth will come and spend a day with me. And I have a short talk that I do which combines a hypnosis session, normally to a group of people, where they get to experience the key things that are getting in the way of them becoming wealthier. One of the key belief systems that people have about wealth is that somehow to be wealthy, they have to jeopardize or sacrifice their values, or that they're going to be less honest or less genuine as a person, that somehow being wealthy will make them let's say undesirable in some way. They have negative associations with that. So this download is all about giving you a blueprint of what different futures look like and the kind of insights that will enable you to reset your GPS. So in many cases, I know other people that are in the similar kind of industry to me, they will use a thermostat metaphor for wealth. That we are set to have a certain level of income or a level of wealth. I don't buy into that metaphor at all. I don't think that it's useful to just imagine that if we turn up the thermostat, that suddenly we're going to be wealthier. What's more likely and more effective, I found, is that having a metaphor that we are all on a journey. Okay. And if you imagine a pilot, the vast majority of a pilot's journey is on autopilot. Literally, they will flick the switch and they are no longer in manual control of that plane. It will get there on autopilot. And they essentially are there to take off and land and manage particular issues with, let's say, high winds or storms and things like that. But the majority is done on autopilot. We all have an autopilot going on within us, and a combination of your values, your beliefs, and the total combined knowledge and strategies that you execute will determine your financial and wealth destination, almost like in a GPS, for example, and we can get to see where that is currently programmed to take you. So using the time distortion element of hypnosis, we can take you back to a time where you can almost communicate with your earlier self as to what insights, what strategies you would use to increase wealth. But also you get to go into the future and experience different futures. Now, one of those futures is a future of poverty, because sometimes it's useful to know a future that you don't want. You can also see the future that you're currently in line to experience, and then you can also experience a more desirable future. And the purpose of that is that this then can update your GPS setting as to what your financial future is going to be. And if you were traveling, let's say, to a destination and you took a wrong turn, then your GPS your sat nav would update and say, right, turn around, turn left, turn right to get you back on track. Autopilot would do the same thing. If you're flying a plane and you go off course, the autopilot will then reroute your course to make sure you still get to your destination. So this is a useful metaphor. Again, it's free as a bonus. Typically, when I work with people for my hypnotic wealth talks, they pay hundreds of pounds to learn about the key belief systems that they can change and this kind of stuff. This audio download is not the full hypnotic wealth workshop and course, but it gives you a really good insight in terms of where your financial future is taking you on autopilot 2 at the moment, and you get to update this within this audio session. So this is the Hypnotic Wealth kind of audio download. Again, it's a bonus. You get it included as part of the 7-day phobia removal system. And I hope this has been useful, and look forward to working with you in one way, shape or form.